Can you imagine 9.5 centuries passing while you carry a single message, standing alone against an entire nation that mocks you, rejects you, defies you, and refuses to believe in you? And after all those centuries, an order comes from the heavens to build a giant ark in the middle of a barren desert. Can you imagine continuing to work on a project that everyone deems pure madness, only for the sky to suddenly open, the springs of the earth to burst forth, and the flood to drown everything except that one vessel? If you love the Prophet ﷺ, send blessings upon him in the comments and press the like button. In the aftermath of Adam's era, humanity lived in a phase of purity. Yet, as time passed, corruption began to creep into people's hearts, and idolatry became appealing until it completely took hold of them. The worship of idols spread as people began to deify righteous individuals who had preceded them. Slowly, these figures transformed into gods to be worshipped besides Allah, Wad, Suwa, Yaguth, Ya'uk, and Nasr. A state of spiritual darkness prevailed, and hearts became filled with ignorance and superstition. Into this environment, drowning in ignorance and idol worship, Nuh was born a completely different soul, chosen by God to carry the message of monotheism and light, to save humanity from the darkness of polytheism to the light of faith. Noah grew up in this society, exhibiting the qualities of wisdom, honesty, and mercy since his youth, though he always felt a deep spiritual alienation. Then, the revelation came to him from the heavens to carry his Lord's message to his people. His call began with gentleness and kindness. Noah walked among the people, speaking to them in clear and simple language. "O my people, worship God. You have no deity other than him. Indeed, I fear for you the punishment of a tremendous day." Initially, his people looked at him with wonder, but in time, that wonder turned into mockery. They would whisper sarcastically, "Does this man want people to abandon their gods for the sake of one God?" Despite the mockery, Noah did not stop the call. Rather, he grew in persistence and resolve. He knocked on doors, one after another, reminding them of God's blessings and that the idols they worshipped could neither harm nor benefit. Many long years passed, and only a few of the weak and simple-hearted responded to him. As for the rich and arrogant, they persistently rejected his call, accusing him of madness and delusion, and began inciting people against him. Noah's suffering increased, and he felt the burden of responsibility. He spent his nights and days in calling people, openly and secretly, finding patience and deep faith in doing so. His hope that his people would be guided never faded, but the more persistent he was in his call, the more his people increased in defiance and rejection. The times became harsher, his ordeal grew, and he lived in true isolation among the people he knew. Years passed, then decades, then centuries, and Noah neither tired nor ceased, calling his people night and day, secretly and openly, using every merciful means to guide them. When he spoke, they said, "Indeed, we see you in clear error." Noah would reply with the calmness of the patient prophet, "O my people, there is no error in me, but I am a messenger from the Lord of the worlds." They told him, "We do not see any who have followed you except those who are the lowest of us." Despising his poor followers, Noah would reply with the dignity of the believer and the honor of prophecy, "And I am not one to drive away those who have believed. Indeed, they will meet their Lord, but I see you as a people who are ignorant." Noah saw dead hearts, foreheads that did not prostrate, and souls held captive by the illusions of idols. But he did not lose hope. He would tell himself every night, perhaps tomorrow one of them will be guided. Perhaps a word will break their hearts and they will return. Every prophet was tested by his people, but Noah alone was tested with the longest patience. 950 years calling a people who only increased in disbelief and arrogance. 950 years, and his heart knew no hatred, and his tongue knew no despair. The nights passed for Noah with a hope that never dimmed, but the earth grew darker and hearts grew harder. He began to realize that their hearts had been sealed, and they truly desired falsehood over truth. No house was left unvisited, and no means of preaching was left unused until the revelation came to him. "None of your people will believe except those who have already believed, so do not grieve over what they used to do." And here, the divine command descended, the moment of the great great transformation, and construct the ark under our observation and our inspiration. And do not address me concerning those who have wronged. Indeed, they are to be drowned. The door opened to a long time, whose days were not measured by hours, but by patience. Building the ark was not a casual decision, but a destiny that progressed. It started from a handful of dust, from a seed buried in the earth to become a tree, then a forest, then planks shaped by the sweat of men. God willed the ark to grow alongside the call itself. When the wood matured, Noah and the believers cut the planks one after another, dragged them on shoulders, and lined them up under the sun to dry. Broad planks for the base, ribs for the sides, beams for the deck, and harder wood for stressed joints were carefully selected. There were no rigid saws or modern tools, but construct the ark under our observation and our inspiration meant the hand knew what industry could not achieve. The wood was carved with polished stones, and its ends hammered with thicker wood or heavy stone, and its planks secured with twisted fiber ropes, tightened until the wood seemed to sigh with contentment. When plank met plank, the hardest test began. The sealing. Fires were lit and cauldrons were placed, boiling a thick black substance, tar, until it became viscous. Then, using wrapped cloths, he wiped the ark's planks inside and out. Its smell was pungent, and its smoke rose into the sky, yet it was the ark's shield, sealing the wood's pores, preventing water from seeping in, and resisting the water's salinity and the wave's intensity. On the other side, the city was filled with non-stop mockery. They passed in groups, exchanging gestures and laughter, standing at the edge of the workshop as if watching a comical show. The work was long. Some say 40 years, others say 2 full centuries, which is the more likely opinion. They did not count the years on their fingers. They counted what was achieved each day and measured what remained by their resolve. The ark grew until it became a magnificent sight. High doors opening and closing onto a prepared ramp for animals and air-light vents to be closed when needed. It is narrated that its length reached 1,000 cubits, its height 60 cubits, and its width was enough to ensure stability on water with waves like mountains. Thus, the construction phase ended. Knowledge from revelation, craftsmanship from patience, and wood transformed into salvation. A tranquil night, no different from any other. The sweat that had stained the ark's wood had dried days ago. It stood like a black castle, coated with tar, its doors bolted, anticipating the long-awaited command. Noah walked around it, as if reassuring his own heart, looking up at the fixed stars and the heavy air that betrayed no secret, no lightning, no thunder, but deep down, something was stirring. Then the sign came, not from the sky, but from the earth. From the mouth of the tanur, oven, the buried stone hearth burst forth with water, surging and boiling, as if an ancient restraint had dissolved. Here Noah understood. The oven overflowed. The command had begun. The call came to him. Load into it of every living thing, a pair of 2, male and female, and your family, except those against whom the word has already gone forth, and those who have believed. The prophet raised his voice with an urgency that tolerated no delay. To the ark! Now, now! The most wondrous scene began. Pairs of creatures arrived as if by a written appointment. A lion with its lioness, 2 agile gazelles, lurking tigers, fluttering doves, crawling snakes without hissing, leaping frogs as if escaping a coming drought, a rooster and a hen, a stallion and a mare. From every species 2, no more, no less, no fighting, no predation. The awe of the command silenced the nature of the wild Noah, directed his sons and the believers. The lower deck for the heavy animals, securing the cages and leaving wide air vents in the middle. The supplies, wheat, barley, dates, dried fruits, water skins, herbs for healing, emergency tools, and provisions for their sustenance for days of unknown duration. The upper deck for the humans and the comforting birds near the light. Everything was in order, a system no human could manage without divine assistance. The believers gathered. God said, and none had believed with him except a few. It is said they were only about 80 souls, men and women, elders leaning on life experience, and children whose eyes sought reassurance on the faces around them. They carried bags of grain, baskets, and rudimentary cooking tools, barely visible amidst the panic. The earth fell silent for a moment. moment, like a gasp before an explosion. Then the first drops poured down. It was not a gentle rain. It was like nails hammered into the coffin of the old earth. God said, "So we opened the gates of the heaven with pouring rain and caused the earth to burst with springs, and the waters met for a matter already decreed. The boundaries between the sky and the earth collapsed. Valleys became raging rivers, slopes turned into waterfalls, and houses collapsed as if no souls had ever inhabited them. The ark shook and its base detached from the land. It rose, then began to sail with no destination other than salvation, and no protector other than the hand of the most merciful from the upper window. Noah saw his son standing on a rocky outcrop, clinging with old stubbornness. He called out with a heartbreaking voice, 'O my son, come aboard with us and do not be with the disbelievers.' A moment of silence. The son replied, 'I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water.' Noah told him, 'There is no protector today from the decree of God except for whom he has mercy.' Then a mountain of water rose up, a wave unlike any usual wave, God said, and a wave came between them, and he was among the drowned. Prophet Noah did not cry out. He settled into the stillness of one who entrusts his affair to God and seeks his reward with him, folding away a page that was part of his heart. The ark sailed with them in waves like mountains, and darkness clothed the sky. The sound of water swallowed all other sounds. The land of the people was drowned, swept away in a single mass buildings. Toppled, trees were uprooted and swirled in the current like straw. Desperate escape towards elevations that were no longer high. Arms clinging to floating wood, fathers calling sons who did not answer. Then even the screams were swallowed. God said, "So the flood seized them while they were wrongdoers." No one at all was saved except those who embarked in the ark. Inside, there was a quiet alienation. Eyes communicated without sound. A woman held a child close, turning her face away so he wouldn't see her tears. An old man stared at the planks, as if the wood were a mirror to years gone by. A young man placed his bag of dates aside, not reaching for it, for a little hunger was easier than ignoring these scenes. Prophet Noah sat aside, clasping his hands in a silent prayer known only in the heavens. "O God, to you is all praise for salvation, contentment, and submission for what the heart has lost." The water rose and fell, and the wind whistled around the ark, yet conviction was firmer than any rope. Noah raised his voice with the word established for travel and salvation. In the name of Allah is its course and its anchorage. The word echoed in the chests, and the ark sailed with them, carrying on its deck the last seeds of life on earth to begin anew. Days passed, and perhaps weeks, some say 40 days, and the ark was still floating upon the surface of a world that had become a single ocean. The sky had calmed, but the water had not yet subsided. No landmarks were visible, no mountains, no trees, no humans, just immense waves with no discernible beginning or end. Every morning, Noah would climb to the highest point of the ark, scanning the horizon for a sign, a piece of dry land, the shadow of a mountain, the tip of a palm tree, anything to indicate that the earth was still there. Then came the awaited day. He opened a small hatch in the roof and released a raven. It flew far, circled, and did not return. Noah understood that dry land had not yet appeared, and the raven had found something to occupy it or landed on a carcass. Afterward, he released a dove. It returned after a while with an olive leaf in its mouth. Noah understood that dry land was starting to appear and the flood was subsiding. Then came the great moment, the moment when God addressed the earth and the sky, and it was said, "O earth, swallow your water, and O sky, withhold your rain." And the water subsided, and the matter was concluded, and the ark rested on Mount Al-Judi. In one instant, the earth settled, the sky ceased, and the waters gradually retreated. The earth began to drink the flood, as if repenting and washing away the sins of those who had been upon it. The ark slowly lowered until its wood felt the ground. Windows were opened, and the people gasped as if returned to life. The ark rested on Mount Al-Judi, a mountain located in a region near what is known today as the Mountains of Turkey, southeast Anatolia, above a city called Jazirat ibn Omar, according to many commentators. Noah said, "In the name of God, we put our trust in God." Then he opened the door, and the first to leave the ark fell down in prostration to God, in gratitude for the new earth earth and the mercy that overcame the punishment. The animals emerged as if they knew their way. Birds flew towards the sky. As for the humans, they sat on the soil looking at each other. Only 80 people on an empty land, its sky clear and its air pure, free of corruption and polytheism. Here, humanity began anew. The air was pure in a way no one had ever known. The land was drying but still damp from the flood. The mountains still glistened from the water. Noah sat with the survivors, looking at them one after another, not with the words of a leader, but with the gaze of a tender father reassuring his children. The people started from zero, no city, no markets, no roads, no temples, only basic tools, tents, simple provisions taken from the ark, and memories that could not be buried. Noah took his role again, dividing tasks among his sons. Shem, take care of farming. Ham, look after the animals and pastures. Japheth, prepare the sleeping areas and look for fresh drinking water. They were only 3 sons, and from their lineage the nations began. Some scholars say that all humanity today traces its lineage back to these 3. From Shem came the Arabs, Jews, Persians, and Eastern Romans. From Ham came the people of Africa and parts of India and Sudan. From Japheth came the people of Turkey, Europe, and Eastern Asia. There were only these few people left on earth, and no civilization other than what would be built by their hands. The beginning was not easy. They had to rediscover the land, search for seeds in the soil, rebuild homes from stone and mud, and raise animals again. Everything started from a 0 point, but God was with them, and the sky no longer rained anger. Noah would sit under the shade of a small tree he had begun to plant, telling one of his grandchildren, "My son, this land is not ours, but a servant whom God had mercy upon, and if we commit idolatry, we will drown, so do not forget the covenant." Noah cared for them, taught them, built with them, and constantly reminded them of the story of the ark, not to frighten them, but to instill a single meaning in their hearts. Salvation is not made by ships alone, but by faith in God Almighty. As time passed, Noah's body began to weaken. He walked slowly, his eyes immersed in memory, and his voice, when he spoke, had a deep serenity, the serenity of one who fulfilled his trust and had nothing left on earth to achieve. Noah died, it is said, at an age approaching 1,000 years, having spent 950 of them calling his people. Noah was the second father of humanity, and with his death, the world began to write its new page, the page of a nation born from an ark and the legacy of a noble prophet.